Yes, good evening, friends. Welcome to the session once again. Yes, I hope you all are doing good. We still have one more minute to go. Let's wait for some more learners to join in. As you know, we will be taking up the part 5 of biogeography, environmental geography, okay? It is the part 5 of environmental geography. We will complete the session today. From tomorrow, we will start the Indian geography. And as I told you earlier, in all of my session, as per the time schedule, we are not able to finish the entire syllabus. So there, so we are not able to finish the entire syllabus. Even under biogeography, the topics that we are supposed to cover is under biogeography, soil, that is one, plants and animal, their distribution, their characteristics, but we are able to cover only a part of a soil. Okay, now under the oceanography chapter also we have left some important sections. Now all of this, what you can do, one thing is, I have a special class as well as plus course under Unacademy platform, where we get sufficient amount of time. At the same time, the mode of interaction is much better under Unacademy platform, because there we have, under Unacademy platform, we have many important tools, okay, by which we are able to interact with each other efficiently. It is as good as mimicking the real classroom settings. Say for example, in the Unacademy platform, we have this raise hand option, where you can raise your hand, I will accept it. You will be able to ask question verbally also, okay? And there are many tools by which I can bring many examples, many important diagrams, figures, and I'm able to discuss everything in great detail. So you can always come and join me there in special class as well as in plus subscription course, where we complete all the syllabus and also in greater detail. Okay, anyways, we will continue our discussion today, that is environmental geography part 5. But before we go into the session, let me give you some important information from the Unacademy platform. As you all know, every Sunday 11 a.m. in Unacademy, we have this Unacademy Mega Compact. Under this compact, there will be 56 MCQ, multiple choice question, to be solved in 60 minutes. Along with the scholarship, you will be getting a very good present, or you can say a gift, like iPad mini, MacBook, iPhone XR, and Amazon Watchers. Okay, till now around 4 lakhs aspirant has already taken the test, out of which 50,000 plus are the winners. Now, in order to enroll for this, you can use my code as your enrollment code, that is SUNEP10. Clear? You lose nothing, you only gain. There is no other better way in order to revise what you have already studied and also to prepare for your UPSC prelims via this particular compact. Clear? You also have this resolution to create this UPSC CSE 2023 from the Unacademy platform. You have this introductory offer, which is you get additional 10% discount for 18 months combo. Okay, now, but the offer does not end there. If you use my code, that is educator code, you will get additional discount. Therefore, in total, you are saving something around 15,000 rupees, which is a very big amount. So you can use my educator code in order to avail additional benefit or additional discount. My educator code is SUNEP, which is my name, followed by 10. Clear? It was valid only up to 12th of January. But because of popular demand, now it has been extended till 19th of January. Therefore, if you haven't subscribed to this, kindly do so and avail the benefit. The benefit does not end here again. You have additional benefit. That is, you will get an access to 20 GS books, which is curated and designed specifically for UPSC General Studies syllabus, aligning with the latest trend that is there in the UPSC. Okay? And also, you will get, it is not written here, but you will get 3 months extension. Okay? 3 months extension in a sense. 3 into 30 means 90 days. 90 days is quite a substantial amount of time. Clear? Along with this, you will get an opportunity to set for a test series also. Therefore, this introductory offer is quite beneficial. It will be quite beneficial for you. So kindly subscribe. Your prelims for 2020 is in the month of June. Taking this into consideration, from Unacademy platform, you have this comprehensive batch courses on GS UPSC. The course will start from 19th, that is tomorrow. So you kindly subscribe to this. If in your roadmap, if you are planning to sit for 2023, you can still go for Mission 2023, Expedition 2023, Lakshya 2023. Clear? With that base, these are some of the optional courses which are getting launched in the Unacademy platform in the month of January. That is this month. Therefore, if any of these optional is one of your optional, you can kindly subscribe and take the benefit. Okay? With that basic introduction, let us continue with our discussion today. In our today's discussion, we will start from this ecological succession. Okay? Yesterday we have already seen. Okay? Just as a very quick recap, let me tell you. Under the function of ecosystem, broadly there are 3 main functions it performs. The first function is the flow of nutrient or material in the ecosystem. Second is the transfer of energy or the flow of energy. And the third one is the eco-regulation. Under this eco-regulation, we are studying this ecological succession. Yesterday, we have seen the primary succession and secondary succession. I have already explained to you in great detail what is the meaning of this primary succession and what is the meaning of this secondary succession. Now, this how succession occurs in any place, you see here, it will be like this. If you compare the abiotic requirement, okay, now from now on, I can very comfortably use a term like biotic and abiotic. That is the structure of the ecosystem. Okay, we also know the linkage between abiotic and biotic component in the ecosystem. Okay, now, which we have already discussed. So you can refer to my previous recorded session. Okay, anyways, the abiotic requirement, that is the temperature, that is the rainfall, that is the type of soil, whatever it is. The abiotic requirement of a grass is much less than shrubs. Or the abiotic requirement means the surrounding. In the surrounding climatic condition, soil condition, requirement of shrubs will be much less than 3, like this. Okay, so now you see here. Initially, it is just an example which I am giving. Otherwise, the pioneering species, yesterday I have explained to you what is pioneering species. They are usually the lichen and mosses that they go first. They invade the area, bring changes in the soil condition. Thereby, ecological succession happens gradually. Okay, now, what is a climax community? Climax community is the end with equilibrium or steady state with the environment. Yesterday we have already seen this also. The process is very natural, that is the succession. Okay, like from the pioneering species up to the climax stage, it is quite a natural process. But its direction and the speed can be influenced by human action. Means for an ecological succession, that is, in a very barren area, if one particular species comes here, yesterday I have mentioned to you how it modifies the abiotic condition, that is the soil and the climatic condition. thereby succession of different organisms, of plants and animals, and finally giving rise to a climax community. From the initial till the end, from the barren land, that is for the primary succession, from some abruptly removed or destroyed and new species coming, that is the secondary succession, whatever may be the case, be it the primary succession or ecological succession, the cycle from the initial to the climax stage is a natural process. But its direction and the speed of this succession can be influenced by human action. How it is, we will see a little bit later. But in the process of this ecological succession, there are certain phases that this ecological succession go through. So what are the phases which is involved in the ecological succession? The first phase is known as nutation. The term is very important. Kindly remember this particular term. The initial creation of a pair area, that is known as nutation. That is, you see here, nutation can be, yesterday I have given you an example of primary succession, whereby the landforms will be the new lava flow. During the volcanic eruption, the lava material which comes outflows over the surface. Now, prior to the flow of this lava, there was no vegetation over this. Why? Because it is a fresh lava that has come out. So the creation of this initial bare area is known as the nutation. Clear? Now, after this nutation, that is the creation of the bare area, or it under secondary succession, it can be in the area, the previously present vegetations or organisms would have been abruptly removed, and now that is how it has been prepared. That is known as nutation. Then comes the second stage, that is migration. Under migration, what happens is the arrival of the plant seed, etc. That is the pioneering species coming into the picture. Say for example, in the example of the fresh lava flow, certain organism, if it comes, then it is the migration. Then comes the third phase, that is eschesis, that is the establishment of a plant seed. Whatever the plant species or the pioneering species comes to the new locations, it started to evolve and develop. Reaction is, that is the fourth phase, that is competition between the established plant and their effects on the local environment. Clear? We have seen yesterday how it will impact the local environment. You have this microclimate. In one particular latitude, in one particular specific location, if you compare two area, adjoining area, adjacent area, one with vegetation, one is barren land. Even though both are in the same latitude, experiencing the same climatic conditions, a place or a region or a location where you have vegetation will have a microclimate as compared to the bare area. Microclimate, in essence, the temperature may be a little bit lesser, therefore affecting the local environment. Clear? And finally comes the fifth stage, which is known as stabilization. Under this final phase, it is the population of that particular organism, be it a plant or animal organism, reach a final equilibrium condition. Clear? That is the climax stage. Okay, that is the climax stage. Clear? So the entire ecological succession, right from the pioneering species to the final climax stage, is divided into 5 phases which we have just mentioned. Clear? Now, this particular ecological succession has certain important terminology and certain meaning. Let us see one by one. Seer. The entire sequence of vegetations in the development of a particular climax community is known as a seer. Important to know this term. That is, right from the initial phase to the final phase is known as a seer. Serial stage means not only necessary that succession succession proceeds uninterrupted. Just now we have seen succession is a natural process, but its direction and the rate can be influenced by human action or human interference. Therefore, in the entire seer, now I can use the term seer. Why? Because I have already explained to you the meaning of seer. So now, in the entire succession process, which proceed from one phase to the other, it can be interrupted. If it is interrupted, then it is known as delayed seer. Okay, delayed seer. And this delayed seer is also known as sub-seer. Say for example, succession occurs in specific different phases, which we have seen just now, like the nutation stage. Okay, all of this, each of the phases, or you can say each of the stages in ecological succession is known as a serial stage. Now, say for example, in this particular succession, it is supposed to go from this to this, this to this, this to this, this to this. From stage 1 to stage 2, 3, 4, and this is the final climax community. But say for example, because of some X reason, if this particular succession is interrupted here in stage 3, then this particular ecosystem, or you can say ecological succession, will not proceed to stage 4 and stage 5 if the conditions or the factors which is interrupting this particular succession is not removed. If the interrupting agent or the interrupting factor is removed, only then this will continue its normal cycle. Otherwise, it will be stagnant here at this particular stage. That is known as a delayed seer. Okay, and also known as a sub-seer. Now, what is this plagioseer? Plagioseer is if in the succession process, if it is delayed by human activity like burning or grazing, then it is known as plagioseer. Clear? Okay, so in the process of development of this ecological succession, example here in the stage 3, if it is delayed by human interference like by burning of the area or overgrazing of the area, so this particular stage 3 is not able to go to the stage 4, then it is known as a delayed seer. It is also known as a sub-seer. And if it is delayed by human interference, it is known as plagioseer. And this particular stage, at this particular stage, this ecological succession will be stagnant and will remain here. And this particular stage where it will remain stagnant is known as plagioclimax. See, climax is the final stage. But if the ecological succession is interrupted because of human activity and it's stagnant at that particular stage, it is known as plagioclimax. The term is important, kindly remember. Kindly look at the diagram which is displayed in front of you. Kindly have a look. It is very, very simple and very, very important at the same time. You see here, this is a, kindly follow the pointer, this is a bare and inorganic surface. Okay, and finally, after this, after different ecological succession, it will go to this climax community. But say for example, there is some arresting factor, that is, it can be interrupted or it can be, it can be interrupted. So if there is some arresting factor in the normal cycle of this ecological succession, it goes to this subclimax community, like the plagioclimax. Now, if I remove the arresting factor, I told you it will proceed naturally to the natural climax stage. Therefore, if I remove this in the subclimax community, then it will go to a climax community. Clear? Example here, plagioseer, if the interference is because of the human action, it is known as plagioseer. It can be fire, it can be grazing. So we have this plagio climax community. But if I remove the arresting factor, then it will come back to the natural climax stage. Similarly here also the same. Clear? So it is nothing but the schematic representation or diagrammatic representation of the concept that we have seen just now. That is the plagiosphere. Clear? Now let us quickly go to the next, the climax concept. Let us see. The end process of succession is known as the climax. We have already mentioned from the initial stage, when it reached the final stage, it is known as the climax. After reaching the climax stage, that is the end process of succession, this particular ecological succession will remain stable and self-replicating, which means after this, no more succession will take place. Whatever change is encountered by this ecosystem, or you can say by this particular environment, it will, the system, the ecosystem or the environment will self-correct itself in order to maintain a stable and self-replicating, means remaining there only. It is nothing but a dynamic equilibrium with the climate it will do. Okay, dynamic equilibrium with the climate. What is the meaning of this monoclimax? If you have one climax, it is known as a monoclimax. Example, the tallest species in any kind of ecosystem or any kind of environment solely determined by the climate. Okay, the tallest species is solely determined by the climate. It is known as monoclimax. It is having only one climax. The climax can also be a polyclimax. What is the meaning of this polyclimax? Soil moisture, topography, animal activity, climate, mosaic of climate and vegetation. Mosaic of climax vegetation. Okay, which means if the species is determined by the soil moisture, topography, animal activity, means multiple factor. In the monoclimax, I have only one climax, which is solely determined by the climate. But in polyclimax, there will be multiple climax stage, and they are determined by soil, topography, animal activity, so on and so forth. What is this pre-climax serial community? That is athapic subclimax, that is tropical mangrove swamp. Example. See, pre-climax serial community, that is the arrested climax community. Say for example, athapic means soil. Okay, subclimax means, example is tropical mangrove swamp. You see here, example of this athapic subclimax is mangrove, which means in that development, or let me put it this way, the mangrove forest that we find today, it is a pre-climax or subclimax community. Now you will know what is subclimax or pre-climax serial community. Means it has been interrupted. It is not in the climax stage, the mangrove swamp. It has been interrupted. And how it is interrupted? It is interrupted by the limitation or the arresting factor of soil. In the mangrove forest, it grows in a marshy area where you don't have a soil. The soil which is, or the process, it is quite very special process. The plant, how the root system in the mangrove system. Since we are not discussing the mangrove ecosystem as such, I am not going into that detail. But if a soil is provided sufficiently, okay, or if a very strong and a stable soil, say for example in the mangrove area, you just landfill that one, then the mangrove forest or mangrove swamp will continue its ecological succession and can become a full-blown forest. Means I am removing the arresting factor, that is the absence of the soil. So this tropical mangrove swamp can be an example of edaphic subclimax. It can be biotic, that is, if it is interrupted by man or animal. Subclimax like tropical savanna grassland is also in a subclimax stage. What is post-climax? That is the more advanced. That is, fringing forests bordering the rivers of the savanna can be known as a post-climax. That is, as compared to the other ecosystem in the region, they are having a much advanced, or they are in a much advanced stage. How it is, you see here. By nature, or with the climatic condition prevailing over this area, savanna are grassland. So a grassland will be there everywhere. This is the natural vegetation. But say for example, in the savanna region, if I have a water body like this, in the savanna temperature is quite adequate. Limitation is the moisture content. Therefore, moisture is a little bit less, therefore you have this grassland. But say for example, if one particular stream or a river is passing through this savanna, or if there is any accumulation of the water body within the savanna, what will happen? Since here now the moisture is also available, the tree will be there, which means more advanced than the other surrounding area which is surrounded by grass. Such kind of a vegetation or such kind of a region is known as post-climax, or is in a post-climax or more advanced stage. This is a diagrammatical representation of the succession, different types of succession based on habitat and based on the causes. Habitat we have already seen, that is, based on the habitat, succession can be primary succession or secondary succession. Let me repeat once again for the benefit of all. If the ecological succession happens from a very barren area, previously no organism was there, it is known as primary succession. On the other hand, if abruptly removed some organism which was there earlier and a new species in the form of pioneering species came and initiated the process of succession, it is known as secondary succession. Clear? Now, this succession based on the causes can be further divided into two. That is autogenic succession and allogenic succession. What is the meaning of this autogenic succession? What is the meaning of this allogenic succession? Okay, we will see that. Okay, but let us see the primary succession example, the secondary succession example. Okay, kindly pay attention. It is very, very important. In the type of ecological succession based on the habitat that we have seen just now, that is the primary and secondary succession. Example of this primary succession I have already mentioned to you, but let me again tell you once again. Sand dunes, lava flow, new volcanic island, glacial debris can be the land or can be the location over which a primary succession can proceed. Why? Because you see, sand dune also blow in different direction, means giving us the new area. Glacial debris also, earlier no species will be there. Over this new area, species like algae, lichen, mosses, which require a minimum ecological requirement and a wide tolerance range, will be the pioneering species which will be coming to this new location. I repeat once again, why these algae, lichen and mosses are the pioneering species? Why? Because their requirements, ecological requirements, are the minimum, which means, can I say, there are abiotic requirements. Under the structure of ecosystem, we have already seen biotic and abiotic components. Therefore, there in abiotic components, in a way, their surroundings. That is the temperature, that is the climatic conditions or the soil type. Therefore, these algae, lichen and mosses will come in the form of pioneering species. They will interact with the inorganic, that is the surface area, and results in adding organic matter, leading to the formation of a soil. That is how the soil is formed. Now the soil bacteria plus moisture will give rise to grasses and herbs. Now you see here how it is succeeding. Earlier it was a barren area, coming of algae, lichens, creation of a type of a soil. Now the soil bacteria and moisture which is there will give rise to a rudimentary or an initial vegetation, that is grasses and herbs. Now these grasses and herbs, in their own cycle, they will die down. Okay, some will die, resulting in the supply of organic matter to the surface, thereby resulting in the humus. Thereby the humus will again become part of a soil. So the soil horizon will increase, which means the quality of soil is becoming better from the initial barren land. Therefore, when it becomes better, and also at the same time you see here, grasses and herbs will give rise to a microclimate. In a sense, results in cooling also. Therefore, finally grasses and herbs will give rise to a woodland. Okay, and as the ecological succession proceed along with the natural vegetations, grasses, herbs, woodland, animals will also be there. Okay, now finally it will turn into a stable plant community or a forest community. That is how it proceeds. So from a very barren area to a full-blown forest. Clear? Various serial stages will be like this. It is just a diagrammatical representation. Okay? Now let us quickly go here like this. You see here the barren rock followed by lichens, mosses. Okay, all of this. Finally resulting in the full-blown forest. Clear? Now, this particular price-seer area can be of two types. Either it can be terrestrial or it can be aquatic, which means the barren land which we were discussing just now can be over the land or it can be over water body. If it is over the land, it is known as xeroseer. If it is over the water, it is known as hydroseer. Over the land, which is nothing but the xeroseer, that is the barren land area or the initial surface conditions, it can be again of two types. If it is over the rock, it is known as lithoseer. If it is over sand, it is known as samoseer. Clear? Hydroseer. Hydroseer can be haloseer. Okay, now haloseer is which begins from the salt water. Okay, salt water. Let us see the process. Haloseer, hydroseer, haloseer. Let us see the process. Open water colonized by free floating and submerged aquatic plant. In the xeroseer we have seen it is the algae lichens acting as the pioneering species going and modifying the area. Here in the hydroseer it is the free floating and submerged aquatic plants. Remains of this plant will raise water level, silting from the surrounding areas. This enabled the establishment of a rooted and a floating leaf vegetation such as water lilies. That is how it proceeds. Now let us come to this autogenic and allogenic succession based on their what? Causes. You see here, succession based on habitat we have already seen. Now based on the causes, autogenic or allogenic. Let us see one by one. Autogenic succession means the vegetation change caused by the influence of plants themselves. Okay. The vegetation change caused by the influence of plant itself, it is known as autogenic succession. Allogenic succession, in a sense, the changes is brought about by external factors. Now, I have given you two case study. That is one regarding a succession that happens over the land area. Okay, the lichen, mosses, algae. okay, developing, influencing the soil, bringing certain changes. That is an example of autogenic succession. That is vegetation change caused by the influence of the plant themselves. That is soil development, humic content, okay, litter fall and decay, pH value changes, nutrient changes, vegetation structure. Like we have seen, the grasses, okay, shrubs gives rise to a woodland. The woodland again will give rise to a proper forest. So the changes which is within the system itself by the vegetation itself it is known as autogenic succession. Whereas in the allogenic succession, it is brought about not from the plant community or the pioneering species or the plant community or the vegetation itself, but the succession that is brought about by the external factors such as the climate change, erosion, sediment accumulation. Okay, that is known as allogenic succession. Clear? These are some of the mechanisms of succession that take place. The initial starting point of succession is the same. Now, these are known as different models under this mechanism of succession. One is known as the first column, the final, it is known as the facilitation model. The second is the inhibition model. The third one, it is blocked by me, so you won't be able to see, but it is known as tolerance model. Clear? You kindly go and see what are these particular models. Okay? If you have any trouble in understanding, you can always come and join me in my special class or plus course subscription where I will explain everything in detail. Okay? Pattern of succession. The pattern of succession is such that it can be in a species level. You kindly have a look at the three columns which I have given here. The characteristics in the early stage, in the late stage, how it will be at the species level. I will just take one or two examples here. Number. In the species level, in the early stage of succession, the number of species will be large, but later on it will be small. You come here, longevity, the last row. In the initial stage or early stage, the species lifetime will be short, but in the later stage, it will increase. Clear? Others, you kindly go and see. Ecosystem or community. Progressive increase in the complexity and the diversity of the community. Okay. Progressive increase in the structure and the productivity of the ecosystem. Increasing maturity of soil. You see here, we are talking about the pattern of succession. Okay. So, the nature or the pattern of succession at the species level can be of these characteristics. When it comes to ecosystem or community level, progressive increase in the complexity and diversity of the community will result in this pattern of succession at ecosystem or community level. Now, progressive increase in the structure and the productivity of the ecosystem will be there. Increasing maturity of the soil, that is the soil horizon and the age of the soil itself. Increasing stability, okay, and regularity of population within the ecosystem will be there. Okay, now these are some of the important characteristics. Okay, the first column is the characteristics, the second column is the developmental stage, okay, and the third column is the mature stage. You kindly see all the important characteristics, that is total organic matter, biomass, species diversity, size of the organism, mineral cycles, nutrient exchange cycle, nutrient conservation, life cycles, stability, food chain. Kindly see one by one. Okay. If you have any trouble understanding this, you can always come and join me in my special class as well as in my plus subscription course. Okay. So these are some of the important factors as far as the ecological succession is concerned. Clear? So I haven't explained this one, but it is easy. But if you find any difficulty in correlating, say for example, dispersal, okay, in the initial stage it will be very good. At the species level we are discussing. But at the later stage, it will be poor. Okay, so agent of, in the early stage it will be wind, seed dispersal. Okay, seed dispersal, initially it will be wind, but after some time in the later stage it will be by animal, like this. So each and every parameters you kindly go and evaluate, kindly go and see. Okay, type of competitor will be very poor in the initial stage, species will also be less, nah? But in the later stage it will be very good, means more competition or more competitor. Clear? So anyway, we'll end the session here today. From tomorrow we will continue with the Indian geography. Okay, we'll end the session here tonight. Thank you so much for your patience and cooperations. Good night. We will meet again tomorrow at the